Hello everybody, this is Gimli and we are going to work on a question from paper 1 mock set 3 2017. Let's have a look. It's question 13. The graph shows the temperature T degrees of the coffee in a cup at a time T minutes. Okay, so we have a graph. On the y-axis we have the temperature, on the x-axis we have the time. Find an estimate for the gradient of the graph at time 5 minutes. Okay, some lovely keywords. Let's think about the context. So the context of the question, we have coffee in a cup, okie dokie, and as just looking at the graph, so initially at 0 the temperature was 70 degrees. As time has gone on, the temperature has dropped significantly, so that's the context. Find an estimate. Okay, I got to underline definitely estimate, and then the gradient. Okay, so this question is all about the gradient. So we've got to find an estimate for the gradient. So that means there's going to be a range of answers at 5 minutes. So I already should underline that as well. Okay, so what you do, in order to answer this question, we're going to go along the x-axis. We're going to go to 5 minutes, and we're going to go up here. And let me just draw a little x here. Let me draw x at 5 minutes. So at 5 minutes, the temperature, what are we going up in? I think it's 32. Yep, 34. Well, 34 degrees. Now, a common mistake is pupils would write 34 degrees. That is not the answer. It's asking for the gradient. Now, the gradient is the rate of change. How much? We want to know how much is decreasing at 5 minutes. How many degrees was it decreasing at 5 minutes? So, what we have to do, we have to draw something called a tangent. Now, a tangent, you may have learnt this when you were working with circle theorems. A tangent is a line, a straight line that touches a point, touches the circle at one point. In this case, it's going to touch the graph at one point. So you draw a line. Now it's got to touch. So let me draw this line so it touches at one point. It's got to touch this curve here at 5, exactly 5. I think it does. Yeah, that's not a bad line. That's not a bad line at all. So now we need to do, once you've drawn your tangent, what we need to do, we need to find the gradient of this line. So we need to think back to y equals mx plus c. So hopefully you guys remember this. Y equals mx plus c. And the m stands for the gradient. Okay, there's a couple of ways to do this. M equals, now you got a formula, y2 minus, that's a minus, y1 over x2 minus x1. Or it's the same as saying, I like to call it the rise over the run. Basically changing y divided by changing x, changing y divided by changing x. So the rise in this case is going to be this length here. So if I switch back to this tool, so the rise is going to be this distance here. So we have a right angle triangle, and I'll show you where the right angle is. There's the right angle. Hopefully you guys can see the right angle triangle there. We need to work out the rise. Now the rise, I think, is around 48. So what I'll do, I'm just going to replace the rise with 48. Now it's decreasing. This line is sloping downwards, so it's going to be minus 48 or minus gradient, and I'm going to divide that by the run. The run is going to be this length here, or the base of the triangle. Now let's have a look. 15, I reckon it's about 16. So the length, the run is going to be 16, so it's 48 divided by 16. Okay, how many 16 for 16, 34? Oh, exactly 3. So it's going to be minus 3. So the gradient at 5 minutes is minus 3. Minus 3. So basically, what the gradient is telling you, at 5 minutes, the coffee decreased by 3 degrees. That's what the gradient is telling you. If you study A-level maths, you'll do a little bit more work on gradients, something we call differentiation. It's quite interesting. The question did say find an estimate. So what that means is if you got an answer, let's say, of minus 2.9, that's also correct. Minus 3.1, that would be correct. I think the range of answers for this question was anything between minus 2.8 5 to minus 3.5. So that was the range. So if you got minus 2.6, that was okay as well. And the method never changes. Whenever you're working out an estimate for the gradient, you draw a line, a tangent line that touches that point. You roughly want a bit of symmetry either side of the tangent line, and then you work out the rise over run, or you could even subbed in some coordinates 0, 50 and 16, 0 into this formula here. You would have got the same answer as minus 3. This is Gimli signing out. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, please click like and click subscribe.